You see those adepts shade right on top of your precious drones. You scramble to defend, but it feels impossible to stop the carnage. Sound familiar? Then this video is exactly what you need. Today we'll show you how to lock down your defenses and crush Protoss Glaive Adepts once and for all. Game 3, Glaive Adepts. So this is going to be somewhat similar to Game 1 because it's a Twilight Council robo opening from Kino. Alright, here. Right, 210. You see the chrono, you see the warp gate. And I would actually just leave my overlord right here. Right where it is now. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, because that way you can see what unit pops out. And if needed, if it's a stalker, you can always just run it back here. Right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So you see Adept first, you send it straight into the main, and then you would see the Twilight Council. Right. Let's watch this. Okay, pretty good. Trying to follow the shade, but not all the way. Right. So if your Overlord was in his main, you would see, okay, there's a Robo, and there's a Twilight Council that's researching. So it's kind of hard to tell, but you see these white shimmering lines?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how you know that the Twilight Council has something researching, right? And you even see him chrono it. So if you see all of this, and you see the additional gateways, you should be able to tell that this is Glaive Adepts. Or charge slots, I guess. But
right.
Some sort of early game attack. And the response to that is the 330 Roach Warren, so what you normally do in your build.
Mm-hmm.
And you stop droning at 38. If you're good at holding it, you could technically get away with 41, but I would just say 38 drones.
And after you just make roaches, or?
Yeah, afterwards, make roaches plus things.
Oh, okay.
So I think this build should hit around 440. Yeah. You could also make, because it's quite similar to like the DT, right? You see the Twilight Council. You could make one blind spore at about 420 if the adepts aren't even right. But yeah, at this point, you should have your roaches out, and then you should have them at the front to kind of ward off the adepts, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then for the rest of your units, your lings and a couple of roaches, you just follow the shade in case he finishes it. Right, like here. It's quite hard to hold this build, to be honest, if it's executed well, because you need to have units fighting the adepts as well as following the shade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest, I struggle to handle this sort of build as well sometimes.
And do we just leave out the third base if this happens?
Leave what, sorry? So ideally, you wouldn't have the adepts shading all around. You would kind of keep your roaches. You would have your army of roaches and queens at the front,
Okay.
so that they can't just like walk around freely, right? Because if we
Right.
look at the first engagement here, right? If you had roaches here, he would be unable to push in, right? And he would have to
Right.
shade, right? So then the roaches would be fighting. He can't walk freely to your third base, right? So it's either he pulls back or he finishes his shade, right? And if he finishes his shade, your units should be there to catch him, right? So you have two armies basically. Your main frontal army, which acts as like a deterrent, and then your chase army for the shades.
Mhm.
Alright. So yeah, once like at this point he's killed 30 workers. It's pretty over, right?
Right. Yeah.
Very, very scary build. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just scouting, seeing the Twilight Council first, Robo Bay, researching, and then making a bunch of units to prepare.
Okay.
Right? Do you have any questions?
So just backtrack a bit. So you see the Twilight Council, the Robo, and two Nexus. It's kind of they kind of have an idea it should be
Yeah.
this build. Is that right?
Yeah. If you saw the first unit was an adept, you send it in. You see the Twilight Council, start researching. You see the Robo Bay follow up, right? That should tell you, oh, this is some sort of two base
Okay.
timing, and that's either charge lots or adepts normally.
Right.
And the response is always 330 Roach Warren,
And
stop
then
producing
right.
38, and then units. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.